Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to another episode of Culture Feeds. I'm your host, Yaparoni. Thanks so much for joining me. And today we are going to be talking about the art of the paparazzi photo. Okay, so I am really excited because this is also the first video podcast episode. So I'm excited for you guys to interact with me and have a little conversation going. And I actually had this idea for a TikTok video for quite a while now, but I thought it would be really interesting to kind of just go more in depth into it. First, we're going to go into the history and the ethics of paparazzi. And I also thought this was really timely because there has been a lot of discourse surrounding chappell roan and her boundaries with the paparazzi and things like that. So we will definitely be talking about that. And then we're going to talk about paparazzi culture and how the relationship between paparazzi and celebrity is a lot more nuanced than we might think, and just overall how it's changed so far, especially with the advancement of technology and how tabloids and photojournalism has overall changed and what it looks like now. And then I was actually doing research for this episode and I didn't realize that I wanted to talk about this, but I think it will be interesting. And it's to talk about the gender roles within paparazzi culture. So, how male celebrities are perceived through paparazzi versus female celebrities. It's obvious that, of course, male celebrities are perceived differently than female celebrities. The way that they utilize the paparazzi to their advantage is a little different, which I think is interesting. And then I picked my top 5 paparazzi photos. This is actually really hard because I think there's so many iconic paparazzi photos, but I narrowed it down to my top 5. And then we're going to talk about paparazzi icons, people who have become cemented in paparazzi history. I'm sure you already know a couple that will definitely be on there, so we will definitely be talking about that. And yeah, so enough with the chit chat, we can get right into it. So obviously, first, let's just start with the simple stuff with the history of the paparazzi. Let me just pull this up. Yes, okay. Paparazzi, as we all know, are independent photographers who take pictures of high profile people such as actors, musicians, athletes, politicians, and other celebrities who go about their daily life routines. This type of invasive photography is often controversial because it can violate the privacy of the subjects involved. When I was going through this Wikipedia page, I was kind of curious, like, what is the first ever paparazzi photo? Like, when was that ever created? And intrusive photojournalism has existed since the 19th century. One of the first instances of a snatched photograph was in 1898 when two photographers were able to capture a photograph of Otto von Bismarck on his deathbed through bribery. So we can see, if you look up this photo, you can find it. I just thought it wouldn't be great to just pull it right up because it's literally a man who's dead on his bed. I thought it was interesting because this type of photojournalism has always been sort of unethical. It literally says through bribery they found this intrusive ass photo of this politician who is fucking dead on his bed. Now we can get into some of the ethics of the paparazzi, which I think is timely for us. Obviously, just like the culture of paparazzi itself is inherently invasive. I'm just never going to be a type of pop culture commentator where I'm defending the paparazzi, but I also think it's a bit more nuanced than being like, fuck the paparazzi, they're all bad, because like celebrities are able to have relationships with paparazzi in a way where they can use it to their advantage. But I also think there are certain paparazzi that obviously know no boundaries. They don't give a fuck to actually have like a healthy symbiotic relationship with certain celebrities. I think Justin Bieber is a good example. I feel like there's so many instances where he was like, look, can you just take a photo of me now? But like when I go into this establishment, like please don't take a photo of me. And then they'll be like, yeah, and they'll still do it anyway. And it's like there are celebrities that paparazzi perceive as just like literal animals, like they do not care. Obviously that is horrible. We've talked about so many conversations about paparazzi constantly get brought up, and there are constantly new laws developing regarding the paparazzi, especially I think the most recent one, because I think the one that really changed the paparazzi ecosystem was when they were no longer allowed to photograph celebrity children, which I think is a really good thing. Like, it's already bad enough that there are celebrities that want to exploit their children, but in a lot of these circumstances, these children cannot consent to being photographed and things like that. I remember in the early 2000s, they were so lawless when it came to invading the privacy of celebrity children. So I think that becoming regulated was like a relief for sure. So now I want to talk about Chapel Roan, obviously. The streets have been talking about her for weeks now at this point, which I honestly think is kind of ridiculous. I do think it's really ridiculous. Let's just watch this video again because I do want to talk about it.
Disregarded as a human. This is what it's like. So I'm just trying to go to dinner, and I've asked these people several times to get away from me.
Please step to the side. Step to the side.
This person I've asked several times to go away, and they will not. They're hiding their face because they're ashamed. Because I've asked them. These are all the people that are completely disregarding all of my boundaries. So this is, then go away. So I want all of you, I'm asking kindly to please leave me alone and stop following me.
Can you give us something nice? Then we go home. What are you wearing? Okay, no problem. You have your choice, yeah.
If you're wondering how it is.
And what are you wearing?
So when I first saw this video, I already had a lot of thoughts about it because, to give context for anyone who doesn't know, this was during Paris Fashion Week, and this was also allegedly, this one I couldn't fact check, but apparently this restaurant that she is going to right now, in this video, is a very much celeb hotspot type of restaurant. So we also don't know if these paparazzi were there just to see Chapel or they were just waiting for celebrities to be there so they could photograph them, right? My personal opinion is that, yeah, this was kind of like a Karen move. Like, I think, like, it literally takes her less than 5 seconds to actually walk through the restaurant, but then she took an extra minute to just, like, be a little bit of a Karen, you know? Like, she didn't really have to do all that. She really could have just walked in or whatever. But also, I personally just don't really care that a celebrity is kind of being a Karen or kind of being an asshole. Like, it's not that big of a deal. Mind you, I do want to say this man right here that she was photographing, this guy is a reseller, allegedly. He is not a fan, and to be honest, I don't know if this is going to come off offensive, but he doesn't seem like Chapel's demographic to me personally, so it was pretty easy to confirm that he was in fact a reseller because he actually was seen approaching other celebrities asking them to sign things. They just want their merch or their albums or whatever they have to be signed so that they can resell it to other people. So that is also like a salacious business, and these people literally follow these celebrities around. They position themselves in a way where it looks like they're a fan so they can confirm that they actually got their shit like signed and everything, but they're not. But I think a lot of people were saying that she was being rude to this fan when he was clearly like not a fan. So when I first saw the video, I was like, damn, she's being a little extra because like she really could have just gone into the restaurant, and now she's like putting more attention on herself essentially. But also it's like, who cares? Like, I don't think this is a cancelable offense. She might be a bitch. She might be a little bit of a Karen, but like, okay. Like, so what? Like, I don't know. I really didn't understand why there was so much backlash regarding this. And I think for Chapel Roan, I think where nuance is a little bit lost here is she is still like a newer celebrity, right? So a lot of people were saying she's only had one album out. Like, what makes her think she can act like this? Honestly, if I was just like a nepo baby who was getting photographed or whatever and I got annoyed, I would do the same shit. Like, I wouldn't have to put out an album to kind of act like an asshole. Like, it doesn't really matter. I don't think you need to pay your dues as a celebrity to like take shit or not. Like, I don't really believe in that. My first reaction was also like, well, you're at Paris Fashion Week. Like, you're here to do a job, and sometimes your job comes with getting photographed. I will also say, because she is a newer celebrity, we don't really know how much agency Chapel really has when it comes to the events that she does or the work she is obligated to do, right? Like, she still might have a team that controls that more than her just being able to pick and choose whatever she wants to do. I think she will get to a point where she will figure out what type of celebrity she wants to be, because there are a lot of celebrities who don't go to events like this and they're able to completely stay off the radar, even if it's not like a Beyonce or a Taylor Swift, because a lot of people have been comparing her to that, saying like, well, Beyonce and Taylor Swift never get photographed or whatever. There's still other celebrities that don't get photographed that aren't up to that caliber. Like, in a podcast that I was listening to, someone mentioned Lana Del Rey. Like, we never see that woman anywhere. And she is also like super famous, but she's also not like a Beyonce and Taylor Swift level type of famous where she can pay these super high level security and things like that. I don't think the backlash that she got was warranted. But also, I would like to say, when I was rewatching this video, notice how loud and obnoxious these men are being to her, and she just shuts them the fuck up immediately. Let's just watch it back. I think it's so funny.
Disregarded as a human. This is what it's like. So I'm just trying.
Like, they shut up immediately, and I think I'm kind of obsessed with it. Like, she shut them up right away, and she has been known to do this. I think she has kind of an issue with photographers in general, because I do think there is a certain culture with photographers where they can just be loud and obnoxious and harass these celebrities and they can't say anything because they are in the public spotlight. So anytime that they are rude or anything like that, it could be turned into something else and people will run with it. And I think that's exactly what's happening to Chappell, because I've seen compilations of her yelling at certain photographers, whether it's paparazzi, whether it's at the Met Gala or at these award shows. And I will say, the photographers that are at award shows and official events like that, they're not paparazzi. That's a different type of photographer, and that's not paparazzi. But also, like, if you listen to some of these red carpet events, like, these photographers are rude as hell. Like, they just like scream and yell at these people, being so obnoxious. Even Sabrina Carpenter at the Grammys was like, oh, you guys are so quiet this year. Like, Chappell really shaped you guys up. And it's like, yeah, because they are kind of obnoxious. And I think for someone, personally, I would never want to be a celebrity, but even if I was and I was thrown into the spotlight, I do think there are aspects to the job where you don't have to like everything. And I think photographers constantly yelling at you can be one of those things. You might get overwhelmed. It's like a culture that's created because celebrities aren't incentivized to speak up in those situations. But I think Chappell just like doesn't give a fuck. I think something about her is that she is a bit unlikable. She is a bit more polarizing, and she doesn't care. And I think that's what bothers people. I think seeing a woman who just does not give a fuck about how they are perceived, it bothers people. I am Team Chappell on this one. Mind you, I'm not even really a fan of Chappell Roan, I would say. I only know a couple of her songs. And I know a lot more stories and things have snowballed over the past couple weeks. This was like one of the first ones that came out. But I'm just going to talk about this because I feel like it's more pertinent to the episode. I don't give a fuck if a celebrity is a bit of an asshole. Like, I really don't. I don't think it's a cancelable offense. And I'm rooting for her. And going back to paparazzi in the past that have completely overstepped their boundaries. Like, when I think of old school paparazzi, I can't help but think about Marilyn Monroe. But if you see these photos, like, she is constantly just like bombarded. But of course we get like iconic photos like this, and this kind of culture of like this kind of invasive paparazzi does open the doors for people to create an entire narrative about you. And that's literally what's happening to Chappell as well. And that's happened to Marilyn Monroe, that's happened to Britney Spears. Let's talk about the relationships that celebrities have with paparazzi and what has changed so far. Obviously, we talked about the ethics of paparazzi. Usually it's pretty unethical, but I also think people don't realize that a lot of these paparazzi have symbiotic relationships with certain celebrities. So I feel like now people are more aware of the fact that celebrities can call paparazzi on themselves to get photographed. And I think there is a specific narrative about celebrities and paparazzi that creates and upkeeps the facade. Basically, the culture of paparazzi is that it's not cool for celebrities to want to be photographed. Kim Kardashian can talk about it now because she's such a big celebrity, but it's not cool that she was waiting for the paparazzi to be photographed. Like, it's just like she was desperate. It comes off as desperate. I feel like a certain amount of aura gets lost. Like, you kind of lose aura points if it looks like you want to be photographed, right? It's easier for the celebrities to vilify the paparazzi as a concept because it's not like one specific paparazzi is going to get pointed out and get harassed or anything. And I think the concept of paparazzi is more profitable when they're looked at as a bit salacious and a bit invasive. It makes people want to tune into it more a little bit. I feel like when it comes to like trashy pop culture tabloid goodness, like it's like you can't look away when it's so controversial. So I think the paparazzi being constantly vilified and the celebrities being kind of a perpetual victim, it upkeeps the image of what a celebrity wants to be in a lot of ways, even though there are ways to navigate it in a way where it's a symbiotic relationship. And I will say that that's not true for all celebrities. I do think this is just like one aspect of it. Like I mentioned before, like Justin Bieber, I don't think he was able to create like a symbiotic relationship with the paparazzi because they just constantly overstepped his boundaries too. I think it depends on the type of celebrity that you are. And clearly, we've seen a lot of celebrities who have struggled to maintain a mutual relationship, a mutually beneficial relationship with the paparazzi. But at least with more legal regulations and kind of the paparazzi economy becoming more democratized, I think it's become easier for celebrities to actually be able to control the narrative with the paparazzi than before. So I think one of the biggest things that has changed about the paparazzi is social media and technology, obviously. Now, with everyone having a phone with really good quality cameras, everyone essentially can be a paparazzi. It coincides with the commodification of gossip and photographs kind of being democratized. So anyone can spread a gossip story or post a photograph and get clicks and views and clout, and it's not funneled through this middleman of like a gossip website or just other tabloid company like press companies, you know. The novelty of the paparazzi photograph has definitely declined. The value of a paparazzi photograph has declined significantly. People literally used to be able to make bands off a singular photograph. Like when you hear paparazzi talking about certain celebrities that they would photograph and they're like, I can get an X amount of money with just one singular photograph of this person. It was an extremely profitable business, but now the value has gone down. It's now pivoted in a way where celebrities are constantly able to control the narrative. So now the public is kind of seeing like, damn, like is anything even real anymore? Because I also think with social media in particular, in the early 2010s, I would say social media was still used in a way where celebrities could be human on social media. It was still just somewhere that they can share their life. It wasn't a business. And now that it's become a business, everything has become much more curated. And that also includes paparazzi photos. So now with social media, everyone can take a photo of you. But at the same time, if you are going to a paparazzi or like a gossip website to find these photos, they all just kind of look fake. They all look staged. I think that's where the novelty really dies down, and it's sad. But that's also not to say like staged paparazzi photos are any less iconic, because there are so many iconic staged paparazzi videos and photos, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. And I also want to go back to talking about celebrities calling the paparazzi on themselves. So this is on Dumois' Reddit, and it says, what celebs do you think call the paps on themselves the most? And I really liked this comment because I think it's something that a lot of people don't think about as much, but surprisingly often A-plus listers do it the most. Angelina Jolie consistently calls them when she is out with her kids, did with Brad a ton too. J-Lo and Ben Affleck, which we will also talk about. She clearly has contracts with certain brands to get paps. They are always selling her clothes or bag, and she wants a certain image. Hers get airbrushed too. You can tell when they weren't a rage, her face looks different. Celebrities also use the paparazzi in a way to create a certain narrative or gear the court of public opinion to their side. So Jennifer Garner with Ben and Now Alone, you will notice all of a sudden we'll go weeks without seeing her when we saw her every day in the same spot. Specifically with couples, celebrities will use paparazzi to create a certain perception of them that will also help them gain more leverage in their personal life. And someone said, I swear during Ben and Jennifer's divorce, she and the kids were at the Santa Monica farmers market every single day. She really went on the offensive as a dutiful mother, and you had to respect it. So a lot of people allege that Jennifer Garner did this, Angelina Jolie did this, And apparently Joe Jonas did this as well during his divorce with Sophie Turner. We've also seen Zayn Malik do pap walks with his daughter during the controversy with him and Gigi Hadid. It's also interesting how PR couples are so intertwined with their relationships with the paparazzi as well. I want to bring up some examples. I would say one type of paparazzi photo that I loved that I feel like we don't really get anymore are basketball courtside photos. I loved being able to see a group of celebrities that like you would never expect them to be together and you just see them on the court side of a basketball game and you're like, "Oh my god, like what?" I love seeing Ethan Hawke and Rihanna just chop it up at this basketball game because when would we ever see Ethan Hawke and Rihanna chopping it up like this again? So I just think it's funny. I think there's also like Leonardo DiCaprio loves going to these basketball games and he'll be with random celebrities. This is one of my favorite photo sequences of all time. Justin Bieber and Rihanna are at this basketball game and they're just chilling, and then Drake just wants to like piss all over Rihanna and like mark his territory. It was so ridiculous. And I just think Rihanna and Drake's storyline, like arc, is just so funny because it's just Drake constantly like begging for Rihanna's approval. But yeah, we used to see this all the time, but now I feel like it's not really a thing anymore. I mean, I feel like the last time I really saw a paparazzi photo at a basketball game was like Timothy Chalamet and Kylie, but even then I'm just kind of like, okay, like whatevs. I don't really care that as much anymore. And this is like another aspect of the conversation that I wanted to get into, which is how paparazzi are intertwined with PR relationships. And if you guys want a separate episode just on PR relationships, I'd be happy to do that. I think that also requires like a nuanced conversation because it's not as black and white as people would think. I think paparazzi is really integral to creating a certain image with PR couples. And one I want to mention with not just basketball courtside photos, but also couples is Beyonce and Jay-Z. Now, if you remember, they don't really do this anymore. I mean, they still do every now and then. This is from 2021, but Beyonce and Jay-Z have always been extremely private. Like we almost never knew anything about their relationship until they got married, right? But the one place that we would always see them that is a public space or event, but it's not necessarily for work per se. It's not like an award show or anything. It's just them like being seen as a couple in this public area enjoying themselves is at basketball games. Like if you just look up Beyonce and Jay-Z at basketball games, you will find so many photos all throughout their relationship. This is some of the only times that we really saw them out together as a couple when it's not like an official event. So I thought that was interesting. And I do think these kind of events, like, I don't think they're necessarily going to these basketball games to be seen as a couple, but I also kind of do. This was like a low effort way to show themselves to the public to be like, hey, we're together and we're enjoying this little basketball game. Even though they're not necessarily trying to say anything, it still says something, you know what I mean, about them being a couple together. I feel like we don't see this as much anymore because now at this point they have reached a caliber of celebrity where they don't even need to be doing stuff like this anymore. Like they can actually just be off the grid all the time. Or I also think like they don't go to basketball games anymore. They go to like F1. Like their caliber continues to go up and up and up. Okay, continuing the conversation about PR couples, I do think men tend to have more leverage being showcased with their girlfriends or their wives. I feel like this also goes hand in hand with the gender roles of celebrities within paparazzi culture. I feel like men, their primary reason to get photographed is to showcase their relationship. One example I would say is Harry Styles. I feel like I put Taylor Russell, but let's just put paparazzi here. For the most part, you will see his paparazzi photos with other women. You almost never see him by himself. You'll see him by himself every now and then, but for the most part, you see him with other women. I personally, this is just my opinion, but I like rarely believe Harry Styles' public relationships. I just don't buy them. I feel like they all feel extremely PR. And so given that Harry is so private about everything else in his life, but then you'll always see him like papped up with other women that he's supposedly dating, I find that a little calculated. And I also think Jacob Elordi, I think Jacob Elordi also does a lot of paparazzi walks with his girlfriends, but I will say Jacob Elordi is a special case because I think he also utilizes the paparazzi similar to how women do, which is to showcase their outfits. I think there are so many women who use the paparazzi as a way to solidify themselves as a fashion icon. And one of them is Rihanna. If you look at most of her paparazzi photos, it's like showcasing an outfit and it's very effortless yet curated. That's the kind of vibe. I also see that with Bella Hadid a lot. Like she also does a lot of pap walks where it's just showcasing her style. And I think Kate Moss is also another example. She also kind of has like a toxic relationship with the paparazzi because they kind of showcased her in not such a great light where she's like, oh my gosh, this is a party girl. Her life is derailing or whatever. But also she became like a fashion icon through her paparazzi photos, which I think is significant in her image. I think K-pop idols do this a lot, specifically when it comes to airport photos. This also became like a really big thing in the K-pop space where the airport became a place where they can show off their casual style because obviously they're usually styled in a very specific way when it comes to performances and things like that, but now they can use these airport outfits to show more of their like casual style. It's not just female idols who do this, but they are often looked at more so for like fashion inspo and things like that. And one photo that really sticks out to me is New Jeans when they were in their Bape set. This was definitely like curated and this was supposed to be like a moment. And I think that also just showcases like them wanting to have a specific image when it comes to positioning themselves in the fashion world. So going back to Jacob Elordi, I think Jacob Elordi utilizes the paparazzi similar to women. We don't see a lot of men showcasing their fashion like this in paparazzi photos other than Jacob Elordi. I'm sure that there's other ones, but as of right now in the current day, he's like the one celebrity where it's like, oh, I want to see what he's wearing. But then he also does a lot of pap walks with his girlfriends. And I think that is also pretty calculated. I also don't know if I believe a lot of his relationships. They are also kind of giving PR to me, but he's always seen out with them. A lot of their outfits are coordinated. It feels very calculated, but like in a sort of effortless way. And I think he is like a really good example of someone who utilizes the paparazzi in a versatile way. So I think that's like the main difference that I noticed when it comes to paparazzi and gender roles. I think women like to use it in a way to kind of solidify or position themselves as like a fashion icon, but men more so rather than their style, it's more so to showcase their relationships or showcasing like their personal life, but it can go either way like Jacob Elordi. And also another example of someone who uses the paparazzi to leverage or showcase their relationships is Jennifer Lopez. I think Jennifer Lopez, you will rarely find solo paparazzi photos of her. It's almost always with her mans, usually Ben Affleck. And I think Ben Affleck also has a really interesting relationship with the paparazzi, so that's why it works so well. But you will rarely find paparazzi photos of her just by herself. And I think that's really interesting. You can see a couple here, but for the most part, she's always like with someone. She is showcasing her relationships through the paparazzi. She is known to do that. So that's just another example of like, it's not always so rigid, but for the most part, I feel like men and women celebrities have different purposes for the paparazzi, but it can still be interchangeable. And I do also want to mention two specific couples that I think have really interesting relationships with the paparazzi. You also have to consider their gender roles and also their careers is Hailey and Justin Bieber, as well as Kim and Kanye. I think Kanye and Justin have very similar relationships to the paparazzi, and I think Kim and Hailey have very similar relationships with the paparazzi, where I think Justin has always struggled with the paparazzi, given that he was so young when he was put into the spotlight, but he's also been groomed to always have this type of attention on him. So there is a part of him that definitely resents the paparazzi. Like I said, I feel like he's always struggled with his relationship with the paparazzi because they always cross his boundaries, but he's also never seen to like make an active effort to not be photographed. He still like goes to places that are very much hotspots for celebrities. He doesn't live a super private life because I think he's always lived his life in the spotlight, so that's like kind of all he knows, that's all he's comfortable with at this point, even though there is still like a bit of resentment on his end when it comes to his relationship with the paparazzi. But then on top of that, he's married to someone who is constantly needing to be photographed. Like Hailey Bieber has a career where she's a socialite, she's also like a beauty influencer, and if you are that type of figure, you want to be photographed. And I think there's nothing wrong with wanting to be photographed, but she is in a point of her career where she wants to be constantly photographed. She also wants to position herself as like a fashion icon, but she also can't just be seen photographed just by herself all the time, because then it's like, oh, where's Justin? Like, it's better for them to be seen together rather than apart. And it also lifts her image because obviously Justin is much more famous than she is. That goes the same for Kanye and Kim. Kanye, he wasn't necessarily groomed to be in the spotlight in the same way that Justin Bieber was, but we know that he loves being in the spotlight. Like, he likes being in the spotlight, but he also wants to be able to pick and choose. Like, he also like absolutely hates his privacy being invaded when he doesn't want to be photographed. But Kim is in a position where wherever she goes, she wants to be photographed. Wherever she can get the exposure, like, she'll take it. But Kanye is someone who is a bit more selective, but a lot of the times he still wants to be photographed. Like, he still wants the attention. It's just that he becomes very polarizing and very combative whenever it's not up to him. And I see Justin having that same issue a lot of the time. So it's a bit of a balancing game. I think these PR couples, and I'm not saying PR couple in a sense that I think that they're fake. I think both of their relationships are in fact real, but their relationships are a part of their image. So that does make them a PR couple, right? Like Justin and Kanye both have women that not need them, but do use them to leverage their own careers and want to be photographed with them. But Justin and Kanye both also have much more complicated relationships with the paparazzi. So it's interesting to see them and how they deal with that. Now let's get into my top 5 paparazzi photos. Okay, this is in no particular order, I would say. I think all of them are extremely iconic. Okay, the first photo I want to show you guys is obviously Pete and Ariana. This could literally go in the history books. Like, I am obsessed with this photo. Like, their relationship is very important to pop culture because it was such a crazy time. I think this was a very pivotal stage in Ariana Grande's career. She put Pete on the map. Like, let's just be real. If I could put it in a book, like, I would, and the caption would just be BDE. Like, and they also are a couple that definitely use the paparazzi to their advantage because they were constantly getting papped around this time. What a time, right? Like, I feel like, you know how obviously the famous saying is a picture is worth 1,000 words? This could be 10,000 words. Like, I just love it. I'm obsessed. Okay, next, I could not do a paparazzi episode without talking about Bimbo Summit. They have to be looked at as a trio because every single one of them had such an interesting, insane relationship with the paparazzi. And just this photo, I look at it and it genuinely makes me so happy. Like, this is such an iconic photo. The fact that Lindsay Lohan literally pushed herself into Paris Hilton's car, and the fact that Britney is just in the middle and she's like sitting in the middle deck, like, it's just so telling of the time. I feel like if you look at this photo, it just like takes you back immediately. It takes you back. And I think Pete and Ariana, that photo has the same effect. Like, immediately I'm taken back to 2018, you know? And this one I'm immediately taken back to 2006. And I was like 4 years old at the time, but I still feel like I remember seeing this plastered on all different tabloids at the grocery store, and it was just like, we're never going to get something like this ever again. I really don't think we will, because creating iconic and controversial headlines with the paparazzi like this, it just doesn't even exist anymore. Okay, this one is a video, and it is Sean and Camilla doing their daily pap walk. They did so many staged pap walks during COVID, and just this, like, the way that they're just walking together, it's just so funny. Like, oh my god, this is like crazy. The Paps need to leave them alone. No one deserves to be constantly hunting down for mags to sell their story. Like, clearly they called them. I feel like it's pretty obvious that they called the paparazzi because they thought this would be funny. Who is actually like walking this slow when they're like on a walk or something? Like, are they trying to joke around? I couldn't walk that slow even if I tried. I just feel like this says so much about COVID. This says so much about PR relationships. Like, yes, they got made fun of, but it's also like not really bad press because they're not doing anything. They've had so many paparazzi videos and photos like this, and it became a running bit, and I can't help but love it. I don't even care about them as a couple, really. And then last two, I think these are the most iconic, hands down. Beyonce, Jay-Z, and Solange. Like this photo, if Pete and Ariana's photo was worth 10,000 words, this is a million words in one photo. Just Solange's face, she can't hide it, but she's so happy. She's just like, yep, that's exactly what needed to happen. And Jay, he's also like, damn. It's almost like this was such a big deal that like I don't even have to give you the context. I don't have to show you the video. You know exactly what happened. Anyone who sees this photo knows what happened, and it's a work of art, truly. It's crazy to think if we didn't have that video leak, this photo would essentially mean nothing. It's kind of like, oh well, like Solange seems like she's not in a good mood, she's ready to go home. But it's like, no, so much more just happened 5 seconds ago. Truly, the art of the paparazzi photo, this is it. Finally, the last one that I picked was Princess Diana. Obviously, I had to pick this one. This one says so much. I think it means so much. The fact that this was only taken, I think, a week before she passed away, it truly does look like an art piece. Like this could literally be at a museum. Hey, I am so sorry for that ridiculous crunching noise you guys probably have been hearing for the past couple minutes. It was horrendous. It only got worse. So, this is me from the future re recording this section of the episode. I'm so sorry for that. It was awful. But I want to get back to talking about Princess Diana because I genuinely am obsessed with this photo. And if you look at the other photos that have been taken on this day, they genuinely all deserve to be in a museum. They are so, so beautiful. Obviously, if you guys love SZA, you would know that her album cover SOS was inspired by these photos. And of course, there's many paparazzi photos that are extremely artistic and extremely profound, and that's the entire reason why I'm making this episode. But specifically this one, I don't know another paparazzi photo that is so emotionally resonant as these. Okay, so now I kind of want to get into paparazzi icons, the celebrities that we think of when we even think about the paparazzi, right? And I have a couple that I want to talk about, so we're just going to get right into it. And the first one I want to talk about is Ben Affleck. Ben Affleck, oh my goodness, he's just so ridiculous. But he's also an iconic paparazzi king. Like, you can't deny that these are gold. These are all so funny. This one, like, I genuinely, like, can feel it in my soul. I have days where I truly just feel like this. And it's just like, any photo you see, like I just feel like I've never really seen a photo of Ben Affleck where he seems like he's genuinely enjoying himself. I feel like he's definitely a tortured man, but I love it. Like there's something so relatable. And I know probably he plays it up for the cameras a lot because it's like an ongoing bit, but I also kind of get the idea that he is genuinely this miserable and tortured and overwhelmed all the time. I don't think there's a lot of paparazzi kings that can do it like him, and I'm obsessed with it. I feel like the only time he like really looks like an actual celebrity getting papped is like when he's with Jennifer Lopez, but even then it's kind of like, wow. It's still just Ben Affleck. I don't know. Oh my god, I am obsessed with this video. But he just looks so fucking miserable with her, and it is hilarious. And I know J-Lo is probably insufferable, but like the way he just the way I don't know, like everything is so dramatic about this entire scene. I like, he knew that the paparazzi was there, but he was still like, hey, like that's what I mean. Where like the facade still needs to be kept. Where like these celebrities don't want to be papped, but like you're literally with Jennifer Lopez, who is obsessed with the paparazzi. And I have a couple other photos from Ben that I do want to show. His entire pap run with Ana de Armas is something that can't be replicated. This is just so ridiculous. Like, I just can't imagine Ben Affleck saying anything that would warrant this type of reaction. There's just no fucking way. There's this other one that was so clearly staged, but he is throwing out her cutout after they broke up, and it's just like, man, what are you doing? Like it's so heavy-handed that I can't help but respect it, you know? So now the next one, I want to go back and talk about Princess Diana again. She is just everything. I am obsessed with her. She was one of the most paparazzied celebrities ever, celebrity royalty. And obviously we know that the culture of paparazzi was ultimately what led to her demise, and I feel like I have to give her flowers because of her amazing legacy. There is like this effortlessness about her that constantly, I feel like people are constantly trying to replicate it. Of course, I'm sure her outfits are still somewhat curated as well because she was royalty. Of course, she has relationships with different designers and things like that, but just everything about her. She was constantly photographed, but she always looked so good every time. She was so vibrant, and like her energy seeps through these photos. I truly think she cemented herself as an icon through the paparazzi. And then next, I will say the Beckhams. I think the Beckhams is a really good example of kind of everything that I've talked about in this episode, where their relationships became a part of a business and they were able to create certain relationships with the paparazzi where their relationship is showcased as a brand itself. This is honestly one of my favorite photos of all time. Them with the Louis bags at the airport. Love it. And they were just such a fashion icon. It's like everything. They're showcasing their relationship, but they love being photographed, but it looks so effortless. They don't necessarily look like they love to get photographed, but they just look so chic while doing it, showcasing their relationship almost as a business brand, but they're also cementing themselves as icons both individually and as a couple. Now we can look back at it and say like, oh, it's clearly very much calculated and everything like that, but back then they were so big, like you didn't think to assume that they were being super calculated with everything, but it was done very well. I think Kim and Kanye kind of did a little bit of that as well. I would say Kim and Kanye have more of like a muse and artist vibe, but here it's like they're kind of working together side by side, which I thought was cool. Just any photos from this time where they were at the airport, I think are so iconic. The Louis bags. And then lastly, I obviously have to talk about Britney Spears. We can't talk about Britney. We can't talk about paparazzi without talking about Britney Spears. And I saved her for last because I truly think she has the craziest relationship with the paparazzi and the press. This is one of my favorite photo sequences of her throwing her drink all over the paparazzi. She did not give a fuck. And I will say, even though I do hate Kevin Federline just like everybody else, I will have to say that Britney's pap walks when she was with Kevin are kind of the most iconic. And we can look at them here. Okay, let's see. Like she has so many good pap walks with Kevin. I'm like not really even looking at him to be honest, but just the fact that she has like arm candy by her also kind of elevates her entire look, you know? But specifically around this time, she was showcasing her style in a way where she like did not give a fuck. She was a little less curated, but it still looked really good. Obviously, this was like a crazy time in her life, but it was also so iconic. I don't really want to talk about 2007 because we all know what happened in 2007. Britney is very much not only a paparazzi icon, but also a cautionary tale when it comes to the paparazzi because she truly had it the worst. I would argue that she had it worse than Paris and Lindsay as well. If you look at these photos, like this is just fucking ridiculous. Like how is she even able to do anything when she's bombarded like this all the time? Like it's actually insane. But like what is she supposed to do? Like how is she supposed to do anything? Oh my god, it literally is real in 2008. Like it literally looks AI generated to me because of how ridiculous it looks. And like I just like personally don't really want to go through this era because I feel like we already know what it is. But just some of these light-hearted moments I think are so fun to look back at. Like we don't have to look back at 2007 for Britney to know how iconic she was to paparazzi, to pop culture. She has the most interesting timeline when it comes to the paparazzi. It's kind of like with Princess Diana as well. Like there's so much darkness there, but also there's so much that she had to give that became so important to pop culture, which I think is really interesting. I do think it's very important to look at this with a lot of nuance when it comes to them. So it's like I want to highlight more of like the good iconic things that came out of it rather than just looking at like the downfall of Britney Spears or something like that. Like there's so much more her relationship with the paparazzi, especially because she talked about being friends with a lot of these paparazzi, even though they clearly didn't necessarily have like actual good interest for her. She also like even dated a paparazzi at one point. So it's like very interesting to look back at how these people navigate the paparazzi just in general. So yeah, I think that covers everything that I wanted to talk about. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. This is the first video episode, and I know I was kind of a little bit all over the place when it comes to showing different things, but let me know if you guys like this interactive version. This is my first time doing the video format, so I apologize if you're listening to this on audio only and I'm not describing it the best. I will definitely work on that because I know there will be people who are listening to it audio only. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode, and I will see you guys next week.